Good afternoon, welcome to Blakey's Bootroom here on Wales Online. Nathan and Steve in the studio as always. The fat lady has sung, it's over.
I know her well.
The dream is over. Tuesday night football back though next year.
Thank goodness, yeah. At last, some proper football coming. And you never know. I got a feel Cardiff might win a game in the Championship. You never know. It could be a few wins coming up. So,
Blakey, we talked about it for weeks, staving off the threat of relegation. In the end, it came, and it came with a whimper, didn't it? It sort of just happened. Nobody seemed that upset about it. It was an odd feeling.
Yeah, it was a strange atmosphere.
It was.
I mean, I wasn't there, but like
there was a strange atmosphere actually there.
I could tell, you know, because it was like their players were almost waiting for something to happen. Our players were waiting for something to happen. Our fans singing but not really happy. Their fans not singing, just getting ready to do their demonstration and not really happy. Every time Pardew came out of the dugout, boo. Then he sits down, cheer. You know, it was a really, really strange atmosphere, and that's why I thought Cardiff could have really taken advantage of that whole situation had we had been right, you know, bang at it. I thought the first half was, for a team who's trying to fight relegation, I thought that the first half was pretty weak, to be honest with you.
Once again, how many times have we said that this season? Just the energy not there when they really.
I say it all the time, John. It's a belief system. You know what I mean? It's like, I remember many moons ago, someone saying to me, Dave Bassett actually saying to me, when you score, you go up another notch, as in your performance level. Now, how can we get you to start on that notch? It's like a psychological thing. And over time, as you grow up, you try and get to that notch to start. But, you know, it's a belief. I spoke about it many times.
Not sure what notch Cardiff were on.
My point is, I don't think Cardiff went into that game believing they were going to get out of the situation they were in. They might tell you they had. You know, I've said before, players will come and tell you face to face, yeah, you know, we do this and do that. And again, in the dressing room, well, we're going to get smashed and all this, but you know, you won't get a better opportunity to at least go into the last game, you know, hoping that you can get out of the situation, because Newcastle were there for the taking. They didn't play particularly well, even though they won 3-0.
The damage had been done at Sunderland.
They weren't particularly good.
A lot. I mean, the damage had been done throughout the season with just an ineptitude, controversy and terrible things. But, you know, I mean, the win at Southampton aside, the running was poor, lacked energy, lacked the required bite, the required fight from the players. They rolled over and accepted their fate, and that's what they got. You know, and Newcastle, okay, you could say, I mean, it was a microcosm of the
they were half-hearted as well for me.
Who? Newcastle themselves?
They weren't like at it.
Well, there was a really weird atmosphere at Newcastle.
Was crazy.
There was all this thing of people walking out on 60 minutes, and a load of people did walk out. And as you say, Pardew, I mean, I can't see he's got a future there. He only got to show his face, and everybody is booing him. I mean, his wife's probably booing him from the stands. You know what I mean? It was that bad. You know what I mean? And so I actually felt a bit sorry for him, and that's how. No, I mean, yeah, they were there for the taking. They'd lost their last 6 games. Come off it. They were enfeebled. But it just shows Cardiff even more how poor they were themselves. They've been themselves, and I'm afraid, for factors we've covered many times on this show, and on and off the pitch, was always going to happen, wasn't it? I mean, you don't get Blakey saying a month ago, I'll jump out of an aeroplane at 10,000 feet or whatever if they stay up. without Blakey thinking, they're going. They're going. Yeah, I'll do that. That's the end of that. So I think surely that should have been a wake-up call for us all when Mr. Blake was doing that. But, desperately disappointing.
Let's get to the fans.
In a way, funny you said about that. Not disappointing enough? People not gutted enough? I don't know. Maybe there's people out there devastated.
I think the general. Sorry, John.
You
can't mug the fans off. Do you know what I mean? And I think most of them accepted. They were trying to believe and keep the belief, but most of them accepted. We're just not performing in enough consecutive games. It's like one in a blue moon is not going to keep you. That's not. That's not going to stave off relegation, that kind of form.
Okay, let's have some comments from the fans. Anthony says Solskjaer must go. Any other Premier League club with our record would have sacked him a long time ago. Lots of things along.
Don't want to get into that spiral of manager change, though.
You say that. But come on. Another one saying, what will it take for Tan to leave? Can you see us going forward with him involved? Ben, are we still saying we can stay up this week, or have we finally accepted we're down? I think
we win our court case. I mean, we haven't got a court case. I think we've got some kind of court case going on where we're suing everybody else in the Premier League, and at this rate we'll finish at champions apparently if I get the lawyers are good enough.
Indeed. Carl, a bit more positive, says if we hold on to a few of our better players and get rid of a few who want to leave, then I cannot see why with a few new signings we won't be in contention for promotion next year. Sean says, has Ole done anything to suggest he's the right man for the job next season? The answer to that has to be no, isn't it?
I agree with Carl. I was just saying this to one of the guys in there. I think they've got the basis of a really good squad next season. Honestly, you take the expected Colker, Medell, there's talk of Fraser Camp. Even you take those out, I think there's a group there still. Look, we've got
done it before.
Well, exactly. But then to come on to Sean's point, the bit that worries me, and I know I've agreed with Blakey on that, gives Solskjaer a chance, but I can't shake off the nagging suspicions. Is he going to? Has he got what it takes in the Championship? Will he do it? All I can suggest is you give him a start, but he's going to have one hell of a start, in my opinion. He's going in very little good. He's just brought them down. He's going into the Championship season. Everybody, where everyone stands there going, okay, show us what you got. He's going to have to hit the ground running, because I'd say September, October. I know it sounds crazy, but if they're down, gone.
I would.
And then the East End.
I wouldn't agree with that. I
thought you were going to say I'd agree with that.
No, because I remember when we won the league, I always try and go back on what happened as a player for myself. I remember when we won the league under Eddie May. Yeah, I remember I think it was December or January, we were about 8th, I think, or 12th, 8th or 12th, if I remember rightly, in the league, and we ended up coming through and winning it. Titles ain't won, I say all the time, titles ain't won. Lost.
Yeah, okay, you
all
say
lost.
that.
No, let me finish.
That's Eddie May.
Let me finish.
Everybody loves Eddie May. Nobody likes Solskjaer.
Yeah, the point is, number one, right, I'm not defending Solskjaer at all. You've heard me say some of the decisions he's made have been naive. He admittedly will say some of the decisions he's made have been naive, but you have got to look at it from a perspective that he's gone. The club itself and how it was set up and running when he went into it. Let's be fair. How many managers out there do you think could have saved them?
Hang on, has Mr. Solskjaer, is he hypnotised you or something?
No, because I'm trying to. I don't want to get to the point like I was just going to make with John. I don't want to get to the point where you sack him, yeah. And then someone else comes in, and we're not in that person doesn't get us in the top 6 by January, February, March, and everyone's saying, right, he's not good enough, sack him. All of a sudden, you get into this downward spiral of manager.
Okay. No,
you've got to say.
I agree with that. No, hang on a minute.
You almost got to say, even if Solskjaer can just get you into the top 8 this season on the teams that are coming down and coming up, and the teams that's already there, even if you can just get into the top 8 with a chance of playoff and promotion, that's where you want to be. So you can't say like unless you're top 2.
No.
You got to
hang
go.
on. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay, no, fine. No, I agree. Top 8. I'm not saying he has to. It's we're going to come roaring straight back out of the championship because I know it doesn't work like that. The point I would make is, you go into the championship under Solskjaer. You start the season. He's chopping and changing. He's doing what he's been doing
but
now.
You like that? A couple of weeks ago. You said that was, I like the way he's reactive to it. Don't you think that's a good thing?
I like it when we win and he chops and changes, but that doesn't happen. Okay, he's chopping and changing, they're losing. Any summer signings he's made start to look dodgy. You're sat here on this show going, it's hard to see what his philosophy is in the defeat at Huddersfield we just had on the weekend. How long do you give him then? I think
I'll give him the season. I'll give him the season. Well, yeah, because or you give him at least. No. The point I'm trying to make is you give him at least till January, February.
Right, okay, you're saying January,
February. You know what I mean? I can't believe those words just come out of my mouth because now I'm almost in the category of everyone else who says,
no,
I think, you're not successful after 3 months, 6 months.
I think your thing of January, February is a lot longer than a lot of fans out there would say if he's tinkering, chopping and changing and the results are not coming. I think January, February, you're being kind on him. I think the vast majority of fans would be, you get to October, November will be saying hang on, and they're like 18th.
Yeah, but
people will be like,
if you get to October, November, and they're 7th, 8th.
Right, okay, fair enough. Like you say, second half of the season he picks fine. Yeah, no, I'm not saying he's got to be top from day one and they cruise out into the league. No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying he's going to have a good start, a very good start,
positive start.
And also, it's not the results. Maybe it's going to have to finally show that he's got a grip of things because he hasn't shown. He's going to like something you banged on about a lot. A settled squad, a close squad, a group of 16 guys coming in, coming out, all working together, You see that they go away to Sheffield Wednesday and they lose 1-0, but you see all that, you say, okay, right.
But that takes more than just what you do on the training field. You see.
Well,
because I've been in that environment where you've got pre-season is big, but it's time spent after training with your teammates as well. It's that camaraderie that you need to build, like trust and friendships.
I wanted to ask you one thing actually. Was he said recently, Solskjaer? He said he hasn't been put. He said, "What were the lads like in the dressing room after?" And he said, "I never go in the dressing room." He said that's their space. I'm sure he said
training?
That. No, after a game. I'm sure he said, I never go in. He said that. So he said, what were the... Yeah, I'm sure.
You must have that mixed up.
You sure? Someone out there remember? I'm sure he was asking, like, what are the lads...
from behind the door. Great game today, fellas.
This could be the problem. We found the problem.
Well, I'm sure he was asked, what are the lads... Maybe some flash interview, like a Sky thing. I said, what are the lads like in the dressing room? And I'm convinced, I'm sure, unless I dreamt it, that he said... That's their space. I don't go in there.
Because you've been convinced I've said things in this programme and I haven't.
I'm getting old now. The memories going.
I know this.
I know. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm sure maybe somebody out there might dig that up from somewhere. I'm sure you said that. But that doesn't. Surely a very strange way to go about things.
Okay, we'll try and get to the bottom of that. A few more comments here from Frankie.
Am I shouting, by the way?
Frankie,
shouting, aren't I? Yeah.
You're still talking. Frankie, who says, just want to say we won't ever be the same until we are blue again. It's hard to watch us. I don't recognise a thing about the club I grew up supporting. It's very sad indeed, says Frankie. Another one from Will Ollie, not up to the championship. He'll make a mess of the January transfer window. A suggestion here from Chris that Pardew would do a good job at Cardiff. He could be looking for work soon. Alex perhaps sums it up when he says most fans are not devastated purely because of the way the club is being run. The club doesn't feel right.
They're tired, mate.
Tired, weary. I agree with that guy.
Yeah,
there's something. I felt it. There's something just not quite right. Something off kilter. I posted the rebrand and everything else, the way everything, and that,
just don't know. It just
doesn't feel right.
Most of the friends of mine who are fans just are of the opinion it's no longer what it used to be, and that's only down to this majorly this season, and add to that the rebranding of the colour and the badge. So,
what do you expect over the coming weeks and over the summer, starting with Chelsea now, which just seems like a game primed for more protests against Tan, against the rebrand.
Listen, something's got. Listen.
Is anything going to give?
Listen, something's got to give, one way or the other, right? Because let me just say this: you'll never. I've said it before. You'll never get success when fans are split, and then certain fans are against the owner, certain fans against the manager. Listen, you're just like a piece of driftwood. Just forget it. You know, if you want success next season, any sort of success, unless everyone can find a common ground and come together, to go forward, forget it. You'll be more inclined to be going down than going up. Trust me. So, to the fans, to the management, to the chairman, to the owner, to the chief exec, take it from me. Listen, I've played many years and I know inside of a football club what it takes to get out of the championship. I also know what happened and what happens when you're relegated. Sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say we're not good enough. That's what I'd say about Cardiff this season. Just not good enough. Just not a good enough squad come together to be able to endure a season in the Premier League. But if this carries on, if the owner is not prepared to bend or compromise, this just goes on and just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know, I'd hate to see where we'll be in 2 years' time. That's what I'm saying to Tux. You know, someone got to think outside the box rather than think, right, I don't know whether Ollie's the right man for the job. I can't tell you, right, off the situation he's just been put into and come through. I can't tell you. I've said tactically, not sure. And when it comes to the changing of the squad all the time and the team, I wasn't having that. And I think he'd be first to say now, I wouldn't do that again. But unless you can, like I say, compromise and come together, this situation will get worse. Not better, it'll get worse. And worse, when I say worse, I mean a lot worse. You'll be down to like 12,000, 10,000, 12,000 fans. Yeah? And those fans will be disgruntled and not coming to enjoy football, but just coming to vent their frustration at the owner, at the players, at the manager. The dark picture I'm starting to paint, it can get very dark. Believe you me. So it's no good Mr. Tan saying, you know, over this I'm not doing that, or over this I'm not doing. There needs to be someone come in between and say, right, we all want a successful club. How are we going to deliver it? What's our vision? What's our strategy? What are we going to do moving forward? Because at the moment, you've got too many people who aren't happy, whether that's players, whether that's fans, whether that's backroom staff. Because, you know, when you get relegated, you've got to think to yourself, there'll be people in the club now who will lose their jobs, maybe, because they're not needed. The whole expansion thing has now, you know, subsided. You know, the club needs to understand football and have a strategy and a vision of where they want to go as a club. It's no good just saying we want to get promotion. Here's some money. Here's your manager. Off we go. Your scouting network's got to be set up. Your youth network's got to be set up. Your under-21 network's got to be set up. The coaching's got to be of high quality. You've got to be looking to promote from within. You've got to be looking, right, what signings are we going to take? Right, British, foreign. What clubs can we connect to for the loans? You know, there's so much. The commercial side, the tickets are going to be down. You know, what can we do to get fans back on side? What can we do? It might be the colour branding. It might be the badge. It might be, right, I know people who have chucked away their season ticket over things like a car parking space and things like that. You know, what we know, we talk on the pitch, but I know a lot more behind the scenes, off the pitch also, that are not running right at the club. Now, all these come together, you've got a perfect storm, and, you know, people say, oh, you can go down again. It's at times like that when the club is so fractioned and disjointed where clubs just end up, boom.
Do you think that is a realistic?
Of course it's a possibility. Of course it is. Because you've got too much, like I said, you've got too much negativity, disagreement, some fan against some fan, although I think even now the fans have almost all come together. That's, you know, that's how full circle they've come.
70, 60% were happy with the red. Then all of a sudden, it's gone, gone, gone. Then you had like a 50-50. Then it's gone 70-30 in the blue. Now it's almost all blue against red. So, you know, that's just the start already. We've relegated, and people are already saying, oh, the colour, the badge, I don't recognise my club, I don't want to go, Mr. Tan out, is Ollie good enough? Every single thing is negative. No one's saying, okay, like we've said on the show, we'll probably have to go up and down for a couple of years to become a settled Premier League squad. Even though we've got money, it's not always going to happen. But the way we've gone down, I think, it's just been collectively, there's been just so many mistakes by a lot of people.
There feels right now bigger fish to fry than just what's going on the pitch.
Correct.
So there's a whole background noise off it that you feel, you know, and as Blakey says about the turnaround, people saying, well, forget the red, when there's, maybe that's always going to come to the fore. They've gone down now. People, a lot of people, you know, call them glory seekers, call them sellouts, but a lot of people said, well, wow, if we can be in the Premier League at last, I don't mind the red shirts, you know, I'll take it. A lot of you know, for all the people who said, I'm never going again, there were 10 people who loved the club who said, well, I don't like it, you know, but I'll go along, reluctant Reds, you know, whatever. And it's only natural, now that the Premier League dream has seemingly gone, then people are going to go, well, why did I compromise? Why should I put up with that, Mr. Tan? You know, you said this, you said that, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And, you know, and at the moment, I think that's the major issue. Again, I mean, I agree so much with Blakey, but again, I've got to say, I think his words, however truthful they are, just fall on stony ground at that club. Because of the people in charge. I agree, Blakey's right. Somebody step in and say, whoa, hold on, this is how you run a club. Let's get everything together. That, in theory, and in our world, that sounds great. But in Mr. Tan's world, I just don't see it happening, I'm afraid. But I don't see him compromise.
But that's where the business element comes in. For the chairman, who's a well-to-do banker, chief exec, owner, 3 guys there, big in business. Right, so, you know, if they, let's say, I don't know, made sports equipment and their sales were just plummeting, there comes a point where you know it's decisions that we're making. You know, Bristol Rovers, massive club, seeing them go down, I mentioned them because I made my debut against them, go down on the weekend. That's not just this. It's never just a bad team, because the manager has to pick the team, a chief exec has to okay the manager and his signings, and the chairman or owner has to okay what the chief exec's done. So it's a collective down the chain, down the chain it comes. Bad decision making, and you end up, you know, Bristol Rovers out of the Football League. That, to me, it just don't compute. Really?
I mean, there's one way but this summer.
There you go. They've never been in the Premier League or the Championship for a very long time, but there's an example of a big club now with 10,000 fans they had at home, and they're now in the you know, conference. You know, you've got to be so careful. And the chairman, the owner, and chief exec, they're business people. Now, what their business model is has got to almost come around and sit around the football, and the two got to work in unison together. But you know, there's some intelligent people. You know, Mr. Tan's a very well-to-do guy after what he's done in business. You don't have to be
intelligent. There is one way instantly to heal that club. Vincent Tan comes out and says, "Okay, we're changing back to blue. We're changing back to." You know what? He could even make a joke of it. You know, he likes a joke. He could even go, well, the red was not lucky for us. Let's try the blue. You know, anything.
Perhaps he's even writing a script for him and everything.
If I was his press guy, I'd say to him, Vincent, look, you don't have to lose face over this. Let's make an issue of it. Let's make a joke of it. Whatever. But that is one thing he could do tomorrow, today, right now. Come out and say, we're changing back to blue. That would people would remember things, of course, people would think, but that would go such a long way to suddenly healing the club, just in one easy, fair swoop. Done. Then you could start worrying about Solskjaer again and the players, but that would do so much to diffuse the dreadful, as the guy who just got in touch, that feeling that just things just aren't right. That would put them right. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Those things ain't going to be put right just by winning a promotion.
But it's funny, they'd be put right by changing back to a blue home shirt, which is surely 100 times easier than winning a promotion.
Indeed.
Really?
No, very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff indeed. Let's have a couple more comments then. Plenty coming in. Steve says Blakey is spot on. I think if we're not careful as a club, we could go down next season. Massive cracks in the club and getting worse. Frankie's still saying that she, or is it he? I don't know. Still goes, but it's torture watching them, which I think a lot of people can.
It's been hard to sit and accept all that's gone on this season, both on and off the pitch, and I don't pay my hard-earned money every week to go and watch them, so I really feel for our fans, I really do, because they're not saying we expect to be in the top 8 of the Premier League. They're just saying they want to have a go at it and enjoy the season. And if we go down, we go down, but we'll be better for it next season. But can anyone say off the back of this season we'll be better for it going into the Championship? I don't think we're in a better position than we were 2 years ago.
It's a right old mess, isn't it? It really is a right old mess.
I was optimistic when I arrived here today.
But it's true. It's true.
No,
when
I'm not
to analyse it,
I'm not saying it's not right, but it's a very.
It's no good at sitting here painting pictures of something that's fantastically good when it's it's there for everyone to see.
Yeah. It's not. Well, a lot of people saying at Glasgow Bluebirds are saying when you paint a picture of a good club on the upswing, we can't tick any of the boxes. Very true indeed. What about this then, maybe to move us on from Sid Hooper, who says, I think we'll lose David Marshall, Stephen Colker and Gary Medell in the summer. Hopefully we can keep hold of Jordan Much and Matt Darley. Wouldn't care if we lost Theophile, Fabio, Kenwyn Jones. Though, he says, let's talk about that big three then, I suppose, as you want to call them. David Marshall, and then the other two, Colker and Medell, who we understand both have relegation clauses in their contracts. I mean, do we take it as a given that those two will be going?
I expect them both to go. Colker maybe. I don't think anyone's going to be crying their eyes out about Gary Medell. I'm not sure. As long as
Colker.
Or Colker or something.
Yeah, we just.
I'll be honest. I'll say it. I think he's a great athlete, but defensively, I think he's got a lot to learn. I think if you look at some of the goals, even Newcastle, there's one point. I think it was the Taylor goal. Colker is the right side of the 6-yard box. The other back players to his left, so deeper than him. He hasn't turned over, he hasn't checked his shoulder, nothing. And as the ball comes in, as he sees Taylor put it, he's saying offside. I think I think we've got a better opportunity without Colker in the Championship. I'm telling you now. Wow. I think he's a great athlete, but I think there's a lot to be desired when it comes to his defending. At the end of the day, you can't just keep saying, oh, it's Theophile, or it's young Declan, or it was Hudson, or it was Turner. It's almost like he's totally got away scot-free, and it's like, without Marshall, we'd be, Marshall and Colker. I'm telling you now,
Colker's people
who watch football, just go and analyse. And I'm telling you now, Colks is at fault as just the same as anyone else in the back four. You know what I mean? He's not stood head, for me anyway, personally, he's not stood head and shoulders above anybody.
What about leadership? He was asked to captain, asked to lead, and he couldn't galvanise.
I just don't think he's old enough or experienced enough.
I don't think he's been a great leader at all.
Captains are, they're usually 28, 29.
There's been times I wanted Mark Hudson in there saying, come on, you sort of needed it. So, yeah.
So to me, losing Colker, losing Medal, not a problem at all. Not a problem at all.
Medal was a big disappointment in the end, wasn't he? It started so well, it looked like he was going to be a cult hero and just faded.
But do you know when you're not? Do you know when your team? Do you know when your team? Do you know when you?
I don't know. Is that a coincidence? I think he's gone off the boil since Solskjaer came.
Well, then that's down to him up there.
I'm not suggesting that he's had some fallout or anything dramatic, but
that's down to his. That's down to his mental.
The guy who brought him in for a record fee and has gone. I don't know. You know what it's like if you're working in an office and some guy headhunts you and then he goes. Sometimes you feel a bit, I don't know, you
lost.
Yes, or a bit fragile, or not as into it as you were. But it's the second half of the season. Medal has tailed off, and I don't think anybody would, you wouldn't be. Medal's leaving Cardiff as long as the money's right. If you can recoup.
But what would you get with Carl suggesting, we should get rid of Medal? We'll get 12 million from him. We won't get 12 million.
I don't see that you could increase. I don't think he's increased his value this season in the slightest. But you wouldn't want to. A canny manager there, Solskjaer, I'm not sure, but if you could recoup your money on Medal and Colker, wow, that's a war chest right there in Championship terms, with the right signings.
And Marshall,
Well,
I don't think you need someone of Marshall's ability in the Championship. I think you get away with a lesser keeper and still have.
So are you saying they should cash in on those big three?
I would cash in on Marshall.
I
would cash in, because I don't think after back you'll never have a season like that again. I don't think, because he's been unbelievable, amazingly good. You know what I mean? And our neighbours down the road, they got that Michu situation where you hope he can get back to where he was 2 years ago, but if they don't, guarantee you they'd wish they'd cashed in on him for 20 million. Because when it's hot, and especially now Cardiff going down, like I say, it's not like without Marshall, you're saying, that really blows our chances of promotion. Well, sign the right players, yeah. You can get very good, very, very good experienced goalkeepers, for $1 million, $2 million, maybe even less, even on a free or whatever. If you've got your people in the right places, you can get a very, very high standard keeper to fill that void in the lower league. Yeah.
And Medal as well, you're not.
Medal, if I could get 10 million back for him, I'd sell him.
Crikey, yeah. Hearing rumours, by the way, that Marshall might
want to stay.
Actually, that doesn't disregard what you just said about him, but there are murmurings around that.
And fans know every player can be replaced. As simple as that. That's just the way it is. No player stays for 20 years.
Don't you think so, though?
Unless you're Giggsy.
When we talk about this again raises massive question marks over Solskjaer for me.
And his transfer policy.
Yeah, totally. Forget on the pitch stuff. You add to that. Look at January. Okay, I'm not saying he had the greatest amount of money, but he's not going to have the greatest amount of money this summer. Do you really trust him? I don't know. I can't. I think January to me.
I thought Zaha was a good signing, because I thought he's going to have a lot to prove.
Kenwyne Jones as well.
Kenwyne Jones, I thought ideal. It's the kind of player we've been lacking. Bit more mobile, great in the air, strong, powerful. Got a bit to prove as well. But Fabio, can be a bit rash, but he's coming from a quality club, and he should help lift the other players around him, especially the younger ones.
Darley is a good. But I don't get your point. Are you saying, we thought they were going to be good?
I was expecting a lot more from them.
But is that some defensive? That's no defense of Solskjaer's policy, though. We all thought they were going to be good. Hang on, he's rubbish. But that absolves.
I think he's just saying it wasn't a ridiculous. Whereas you look at Ikram and Joe Inga-Berge, we knew nothing about them, and it turned out that they're not very good.
No, but it doesn't absolve Solskjaer from responsibility. We thought Kenwyne Jones was going to be good. Oh, hang on, no, he's not very good. He's a load of rubbish. Oh well, don't worry, Solskjaer. We all thought we like you thought he was going to be good. Surely that. As much as Malky and his dodgy signings that people talk about, surely that's as much a dodgy signing, even if you thought at the time they're going to be good. I don't think there's anything that's come from Solskjaer's January manoeuvrings that instills me with. Say he's handed 20 million in the summer. There is nothing I've seen that makes me think, yeah, here's the money. Go and weave your magic again in the transfer market.
No, don't disagree with that.
Don't see it.
Quickly then, in a sentence, if there's one player you think Cardiff definitely should hold on to at all costs this summer?
I think Doel could be really important. You know, I see he's linked with Chelsea, and I do understand there's something. You know, there are murmurings there about him. I think he might be a big player. You know, as he matures.
Nobody who I think they should, you know, fight hammer and tongue to keep hold of.
If they can get.
Tell you what they would need. If we talk the switches, I know it's a cliche. Battling central midfield, ball winner, socks round and crikey, I was actually thinking exactly the same person.
Yeah.
Somebody
I think that's because we talked about it a week ago.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry. I wondered where I got that idea from. Like so many of mine, off Blakey. You know what I mean? But if not him, somebody, because in the Championship, somebody like, get him in and make him captain. Get him in and make him captain.
A few people chipping in with one player, just keep it Craig Noon. If you have to say anyone, Craig?
Yeah. He's gone under the radar. This injury has almost been timely. I know it hasn't for him, but it sort of kept him out of
He could have a big season. Yeah. I think him... Craig, I don't think you need to get into his head and speak to, but I think Dali and Dali not so much, but Kim. Yeah, I think those players could be massive in the Championship. Absolutely massive. I think Dali can play wide and behind the front man. I think Kim can do the same. I think if you look at you know, anyone who's seen the Liverpool game last night, the kind of position that Sterling kept taking up, you know, when it breaks, you're not defending, so to speak. You're just in between the 8 and the halfway line. So when it breaks, you're the release ball. I think those two players, Dali and Kimbo, could be that type of player for us. Yeah.
Just an interesting one from Dusky, actually. Good question. One for Blakey. He says, how easy is it for the players to switch from being in a relegation battle and expecting to lose every week to being in the Championship and expecting to win every week?
Great question. I think I said it at the Tux yesterday in my column, you know, the hardest thing once you get relegated is switching back the Championship mentality. Because you come with this, we've been in the Premier League, you know, we got relegated, but, you know, we just come from a Premier League. You know, they don't go in saying it's going to be easy, but your mind is like thinking it's easier because it's not the Premier League, because so much is made of the Premier League, and actually it's harder, not easier. So that is going to be, for me, Solskjaer's biggest test. Is the mentality of those players, and that's why I say pre-season is so vital, and the players you sign during pre-season are so vital, or close season if you can get them in before pre-season, so they're all together during pre-season. But on a scale of 1 to 10, that's a 10. That's probably the most important thing, is the mentality switch from Premier League to Championship.
Don't forget Solskjaer himself. He's going to have to switch his mentality from Premier League to
he's very inexperienced.
Doesn't know anything about it.
He's never played in it. He's never, you know, spent any time coaching it or anything like that. But that's a great question. That is going to be the biggest thing, the mentality.
I think I've got a bit of that you're talking about. You know, I was saying earlier about we've got this great group. I think I'm falling into that sort of like, oh, come on, we've just been in, you know, it's easy done. You think, well, you know, we got guys like Noon were brilliant, you know, we're great at times.
I tell a story of when I went to Sheffield United from Cardiff, and, you know, you do get, you're a young lad, you get influenced, you get sucked into how others are, and, you know, I had a good time there, scored a few goals. We still got relegated on the last game of the season, within the last minute, I think, so it was an absolute killer. But then the following season, you know, well, that summer we went to Australia for 4 weeks, and there was this mentality that, oh yeah, it'll be a walk in the park next season. And I remember walking past Wally Downs' office, and he called me in, and he had the fixture list, and he was going, yeah, I'll beat them, yeah, I'll beat them. Yeah. And I swear he must have ticked all for about 40 games. I just started laughing and walked out in the end. But he was just, when Ipswich, not going to lose to them, and Watford, when we lose to Watford, you know, we'll smash them, you know. And mate, we finished, I think it was 9th that season, might have even been 12th. And the following season, halfway through, I got sold. But that was the eye-opener for me. Getting from going down, you have to change your mentality to get back up. And if you don't, forget it.
It's weird, Blakey. Everything you're saying is to me, is so raising question marks on Solskjaer. Because surely the one thing if you're going to change that, is a guy who says, look, we're not gonna Huddersfield and winning just because of this. You need, I don't know. I swear you need someone experienced there. Almost even more so when you're coming back into it. You need someone who's like, hey, look, the Championship doesn't respect anyone, doesn't care where you've been, what you've done. You've got to do it, you know, you've got to start fighting for your lives straight away here. And I don't know, for me again, that raises question marks over Solskjaer. Sorry. Well,
no, it'll be interesting. It'll be very, very interesting to hear the first words from Mr. Tan, actually, won't it, after Saturday's events? Hopefully, we will.
Silence is gold.
Hear them soon. Quite a few people asking, and this is a good question, given Chelsea game last of the season. Could next weekend be, or will next weekend be the last time we see Craig Bellamy in a Cardiff City shirt?
Tried to speak to him after saw him at the Newcastle game. He was at the. This is not going to make any enlightenment. It's just like, sorry, he was in the Newcastle dressing room. Obviously, he knows quite a few guys there, and wanted to have a word, but he said, "Oh, I'm running late," and so didn't have a word. So I don't know then.
Tell us another.
I got more stuff. Right, which one do you want next? You only about the time I went down. No? Yes, the last time you see him, maybe. I mean, is he ready for a Championship fight? You know, he's been there, done it, got the.
I don't think Bellas would want to or could play a Championship season. I think if you could get 20 games out of him, 25, I think he's more than worth keeping.
Because he's always said he'd look at the situation at the end of the season.
Yeah, whether he's actually. I mean, we're talking actual retirement.
Think after having not really played much of a part, clearly, you know.
Well, you know, Bellas has been around the block. He's been at a lot of clubs. You know, he's probably seen, as I have, good and bad, well-run clubs, badly run clubs. And at the moment, you know, if you're a player at Cardiff, with all that's gone on this season, he's probably thinking to himself,
do I need the hassle?
Do I want to go again? And you know, if you know, I don't think he'd be standing up saying assurances of this or that or the other, but you know, if you just scrape the surface, it's clear to see what's going on at the club, and it's just, you know, I don't suppose someone of his experience is looking at it thinking, oh, this is going to be a great place to be in the next 3 to 4 years right now, because right now it's so not sure, question mark, no consistency. You know, is the owner going to stay? Is he going to leave? Is he going to convert his cash to shares? Is he not? You know, is the chief exec going to stay, or is he going to get someone more experience? Is the manager going to stay, or is he going to get someone more experience? What players are in, what players are out? You know, right now I would say Craig's probably thinking to himself, I'll just get out of Dodge and just, you know, maybe go and play in the States for a year or two, or I don't know, just go and enjoy life. Because you know, that's what I'm saying. It hasn't been I don't think those at the top understand that even as a player, it's no good say because I'm paying you, you just go out and do your job at this. If you're not happy and what you see around you isn't making you happy, you know, it doesn't really matter about the money. You know, and Craig's going to be saying, keep your money, I'll just go elsewhere probably, because it's just too much uncertainty for me. Too much uncertainty.
He's not got anything to prove there, that's for sure.
Nothing to prove
to no one. What he said he was going to do, he's done.
Yeah,
all right, you know, in the end couldn't keep them up, but getting them there, which, as he always said, was something he wanted to do.
Yeah, you can't rely on one man to keep you in the Premier League. That's just madness.
No, I'm just saying playing his part in keeping them there, which is what he would have liked to have done, obviously.
Well past 30, you know what I mean?
Oh, he's 30. Come here, he's 35.
You know,
he's 34 now, so he'll be 35 next birthday.
I'll work down.
my math skills. Sweeping up after I finished.
Not quite the new Carol Vorderman, or whatever the woman's called these days.
What's the woman called? Oh, let's not get into talking about the
Rachel,
woman.
Rachel Riley.
Oh, he knows.
I bet.
I bet. And those afternoons off. With his dictionary out. Dictionary corner.
Let's move on.
What are the listeners saying? John.
Cardiff and Ball suggests Bellamy should go to the Welsh League, help improve the image of that league. I'm sure, Christ, if he hasn't got the fight for a Cardiff.
He's going. Bellamy's up at TNS v Port Talbot on Monday night.
Yeah, I didn't realise with the Welsh League that you play like the top 6 and then the bottom 6, and then they get split so far through the season, and the bottom half play each other like 4 times, is it? And the top half play each other 4 times.
All I can say about that is play it in the summer. When we're all I'll go. Imagine in the summer, you're gagging for a bit of football, the missus is dragging you off to B&Q or whatever, and he's like, nah, sorry though, I got to go and see TNS, Kevin Flexis Druids.
Go and watch a bit of Merthyr.
But I mean, they're in the English setup now, aren't they? Oh, that was bad luck as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Yesterday, that was,
yeah, very unfortunate.
Oh, that must have been awful up there. Well, it was
decent season all the same.
I know, but just at the end, just that, they were top until a couple of weeks ago, weren't they? Oh, shattering.
Quick on you from me. Do you think Dave Jones would have got better players than Malky and Ollie to keep Cardiff in the Premiership? I see he had a little something to say on Solskjaer and Cardiff being relegated, and he's saying they made a mistake appointing somebody so inexperienced.
They made a mistake appointing someone that wasn't me.
Yes, I think that's essentially what he was saying.
It was a terrible error.
Basically.
Must never be repeated.
Only me.
Hey, we should make this. We can't say Dave Jones on this show, can we? Are we allowed to? I don't know.
Who's your mate? Come on.
Crikey. Let's bring everybody back.
Let's move on. Love, back saying Bellamy to replace Solskjaer, maybe. It'd be interesting. Maybe there is a coaching position.
If you're going to get rid of Solskjaer, let's get Neil Warnock in.
Yeah. A few people suggesting Neil Warnock, but
I don't think Warnock would.
He's already been very vocal in his criticism.
Yes, I think. But I would love Warnock, someone like that. He'd get him up. He'd get him back up. Warnock would get him back up. He'd go around and beat them up until they got up. But I still, like we were saying earlier, I still think experience. I started the show kind of like all Solskjaer, like okay, and as it's worn on, I'm getting more and more concerned and more thinking, hang on, who's he going to let go? Who's he going to bring in? Crikey, what harebrained scheme might he be concocting on the pitch?
You've got to give.
All right.
You've got to give them opportunity. Let me say another. Let me give you another little story at Bolton. We went down. Sasa Sircek was the player, right? Remember him?
Yeah.
Great dribbler, most greedy player I ever played with, or one of, right? Just everything was a wall pass. If you couldn't get back off you, the fans would kick off. Anyway, pre-season, him and Fabian de Freitas decide they're going to fold. They're going to chuck it in on one training session. Colin Todd says, right, you're gone. Sells him to, I think it was Villa for £4 million. Absolute uproar, right? The press, the local Bolton Evening News, absolutely slaughtered Colin Todd, slaughtered the club. All the players left, the rubbish. There goes our only chance of a promotion. Bang, 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 you name it. And I mean, to the point where Colin Todd banned the Bolton Evening News from the club, right?
You know
about that?
Yeah. I've heard about such bans in my time.
Our opening game, I think, was QPR away. We won it. Alan Thompson, I think, scored a winner late on. That was the season we won 100 goals, 100 points. Prior to that, press, everybody written us off because we had sold one player, right? So my point is just let it unfold a bit first before you start making decisions. Let people, I would say, let the manager get in. If everything he's done is of his own doing, then you say, right, well, you've got nowhere to go. You can't say, well, half the players aren't mine. You know what I mean? You can't say, oh, well, I only come in January. You can't say, it's yours. It's your baby. You've got it. You've got control. Right. Then we analyse after the event. But before the event, you've got to be careful, because I remember a certain person from Bolton Evening News, I won't mention his name, still a good friend of mine, begging by the November to come back, and Colin Todd told him, nah, you've said too many derogatory things. I think by the February match, they had let him back. They had let the club had let the newspaper back in. But if you took the newspaper and the fans at that point, listen, we were going down. Forget about breaking records. We were going down. So just be mindful.
Yeah, I mean, conversely to that, though, how are you supposed to report star player being sold ahead of match? But what are you going to say? Well, okay. Probably, you're going to get negative headlines.
Yeah. But
I mean, within reason, I don't like. I'm not
to overlook like Alan Thompson, Per Franson, right, Michael Johansson, John Sheridan,
Nathan Blake,
Jerry Taggart, Chris Fairclough.
No.
John McGinley. You're overlooking. It was almost like, really. You think we're a one-man team?
Well, that's silly, really, isn't it? To use that also then to deride people who are there.
Yeah, it was almost like, without that one player, the rest of them are worthless.
That's foolish. All right, I'm back into saying Solskjaer.
Come on, we can do this.
My journey has gone full circle. I've had like the circle of life. In one show. That's from Lion King.
Yeah, I knew it's going to go there.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Oh, good. Not too long to go there. I mean, it almost is pointless to do predictions for the Chelsea game, because it literally...
Why? Because we'll only get them wrong again.
Well, it literally doesn't matter, does it? Really?
Wouldn't it be nice if we could go back to that atmosphere of, like, I don't want to say like Ninian, but that kind of atmosphere where it was, up bouncing when it needed to be bouncing, and it was,
I can picture that this week. I can picture maybe certainly sections of the.
Do you know the biggest thing for me last night, watching Liverpool, Palace 3-0 down, their fans bouncing, and I just felt to myself, do you know if they get a goal, those fans are going to go up a level again. As soon as they got that goal, it was like, I think everyone's mentioned their fans. Unbelievable. And look where they were a couple of years ago. They were going down and out.
That's very much comes back to what's happened to Cardiff again.
That's the knock-on effect of what. Do you know what I mean?
It looks like Sunday will be.
So you go there, protest and complaining rather than bouncing and enjoying.
But I think this time, go and protest. Peacefully, obviously. Don't be daft. Go and don't be as daft as me. Go. I think it's time. It's the perfect opportunity. You can't put the players. It's not like they need to win. It's there. They're down. Don't aim at the players. They've been rubbish or whatever. But it's not their fault or whatever. Aim it at the people who've really messed the season up. Probably who have dragging the club apart. Maybe. Make that vocal, but with good humour. It can all be done with a tongue in one's cheek, but you can still make the point. I think that if it's going to be a useful day for anything, it might be a useful day for that. Get their point of view across. In a game that's going to get a lot of coverage.
Very well said.
Step off that soapbox. Go forth and protest.
End of the pomposity. No, you know what I mean, though. I mean, crikey, something's. It's like Blakey said earlier. Maybe something will give. Maybe in the summer.
I don't know how though.
There will be some healing. I don't know. I hope so. I agree. I don't know how, but maybe. Just maybe.
Big summer ahead, isn't it?
Massive.
World Cup.
Massive.
Looking forward to that.
Well, yeah, indeed.
I'd have one eye on us as well.
I'd have more 2 eyes on Cardiff, to be honest with you.
Well, anything could happen.
Well, I think the last few summers have been pretty eventful. seem to remember. There's always there's never a down period with Cardiff City. There seems to be,
no.
in terms of news.
You'll be sat somewhere in June sipping an ice cold beer, and somebody will call you and say, "Well, Solskjaer's gone." And you'll be like, "Oh, where's he?" Or you'll go, lying dead, man. Don't talk to me as I'm sitting with my pina colada.
Indeed. Okay, then one final time for this season. Predictions?
Oh, I thought you said they were useless and you didn't want any. You changed your mind.
They've been pretty useless all season, haven't they?
I think it'd be a bit of a nothing game. I really do. I don't think Chelsea would be at it.
They're not really in the...
There seems to be a bit of fraction amongst the squad there as well, with Mourinho and what's his name? Hazard. Yeah. You know, I heard what Mourinho said about him the other day, which was very interesting, because I remember back just a few months ago when Jose was saying how Hazard wasn't getting no recognition for how good he was playing. Remember that? And saying like, we were harping on about, you know, the Rooneys and the Van Persies and, you know, the Jack Wilshires and so on, and Hazard was getting very little
I tell you what, one thing in this Premier League season has struck me is Mourinho. I don't like Mourinho. He's a bit of a... Sorry, I'm sure he speaks very highly of me, as they say, but you know, you're supposed to look at him and think, wow, you know, I'm not saying what he hasn't done in the game is going to be. You're supposed to look, oh, he's an enigmatic, charismatic, what a guy, you know, a maverick figure. I think this season he slightly tipped that over into like.
Didn't he accuse us of wasting time?
Oh, when he got sent to the stands.
He's one of the best at it.
Hey, this guy had a go at Malky.
Yeah.
That's it for me. Forget it. Out of the contacts book. Never speak again. No, but I don't know. With Mourinho this season, I hope he's not watching this. He'll probably come and get me on Sunday. But he's tipped over into arrogance and, you know, and pettiness, I think, sometimes. You know, didn't he walk off the other day and not shake someone's hand? And I hate all that. It's great being funny or being, you know, controversial, but do it with a bit of class. And that's something Mourinho is supposed to have always had in spades, his class. I think his class has ebbed away a bit, and he's starting to look just like a little bit of an arrogant so-and-so.
Full of opinions today, Tex, aren't he?
He is, isn't he? Well, surely that's the best place for them here, isn't it? Rather just sat here
a couple of people predicting a 3-2 Cardiff win, which is interesting. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Make a change. Bring Back Blue simply says the Chelsea game should just be about protesting. Forget the game, it is pointless, he says. So it will be very interesting to see what the
it's going to be,
I hope it's a celebration. The 19 minutes 27 seconds thing, you know, that everyone does with it for the whole game, maybe.
That could be quite tiring.
That's what I'll be doing in the press box.
For people like,
not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you know, I'll go for a draw. I don't think either team is going to be pressing. Cardiff probably just won't want to get beat. Whether Chelsea win or not is neither here nor there. You know, you could say their superior ability, maybe, you know, if a Hazard or a William or something like that pop up, you know, it could be 0-0, it could be 4 or 5 the way we've been defensively. So a prediction, I would say.
I thought it was the world's most rubbish prediction. Then it could be 0-0,
yeah,
could be 4 or 5.
I don't think we'll win the game. I think Chelsea will turn us over. Yeah. Probably, you know, Newcastle 3-0. I didn't think they deserved 3-0 because they weren't that good. Yeah, I'll go 3-0 Chelsea. I don't think we'll win that game.
I'll go 2-0 Chelsea, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like neither here nor there.
It's done now.
They're done. Chelsea, we're done. You know what I mean? There's nothing. It's one of those games where you just think, well, exactly what the fans are saying. Well, we'll just protest.
It's just time now for Blakey to get his speedos out of mothballs and
ready for the summer holidays.
Slip them on.
Ready for the summer holidays.
Speedos
Make
and cowboy
the necessary
boots.
Adjustments. Yeah. Speedos and cowboy boots.
Yeah, just like that geezer. Someone come for that.
Hey, that's my nightmare for tonight sorted.
Yeah, that's a lovely image to finish on. I think.
It's your wife's dream.
Thank you for that.
Where are you on holiday this year, so I can avoid that resort at all costs?
Good stuff,
what a shocking end.
as always, we'll leave it there for today. Very good stuff. Thanks for all your comments. As always, sorry it's been a sombre affair, but what can you do, I suppose, with the circumstances? We will be live on Sunday, of course, for the final day of the Premier League, even though it's pointless and nobody really cares, but we'll be doing all that, so join us then, and we will see you next time on Blakey's Bootroom.